Do you ever just sit there and think that I could have been born in any time in human history? I could have been with the pyramids being built. I could have been in ancient Greece. I could have been a Roman. But instead, I am born in a time where I get to watch Stephen Curry do Stephen Curry things in 4K on my TV. Well, not 4K because League Pass doesn't support that yet. But I get to watch some of the most outrageous basketball performances the world will ever see. And I can go on YouTube and watch any player from the history of the NBA. How lucky am I that I get to sit there and watch what Steph Curry did last night? Did you see that game?
Yeah, I saw it, boy. I saw it. I saw it.
You don't sound impressed.
Am I supposed to be? I mean,
Come on, come on, come on.
I mean, just tell me what am I supposed to do? I mean, we've been seeing this for so long now. I don't take it for granted. However, I mean, Mo, this is the NBA. Like, don't we all know,
We know, but it doesn't get
yeah,
old. 56 points, 12 three-pointers, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. Steph Curry was lights out against, I think, the best ranked defense, or one of the best ranked defense in the Eastern Conference. KCP had a nightmare last night trying to stay with Steph. I mean, he scored 0 points himself and just got absolutely torched by Stephen Curry on the other end of the floor. Out of every player in NBA history, since 1996-97, Stephen Curry has the most 20-point quarters in regular season games with 42 of them. He is just absolutely electric. The way he can just change a game in a short span with a 20-point quarter is ridiculous. The most games with more than 9 3-pointers made in NBA history, Steph Curry stands alone at 45. The next person on that list, Damian Lillard, with 14. That just shows you the golfing class between Steph Curry and every other shooter in this era right now. Um, you know, like I know people are mad at the 3-point shooting, but when Steph's doing that, I can't be mad at it. No one can be mad at it. Steph is just unbelievable, and he's doing this all at 36 years old. And I feel like we're in a weird time now where Steph's 36, LeBron's 40, and people are getting used to this kind of production. And that's why I was talking about Paul George yesterday. They're going to be paying him 60 million when he's 37. This is not normal production that Steph and LeBron give us at these ages. Steph Curry is just a joy to watch, And yesterday was like the yearly anniversary of that game. Do you remember the regular season game versus OKC where he pulled up damn near half court and hit that huge shot? Do you remember that one?
mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this. That one, because people are like, oh, the regular season doesn't matter. Should I tell you why the regular season matters from a fan perspective?
Yes.
That one game, that Warriors OKC game, I remember exactly where I was. We went out to the club. We come back from the club now. Game tips off at 3. We're coming in, catching the second half. I'm with a bunch of guys who are all just football fans, soccer fans. I put that game on. We're having a little after party at the house. Put that game on. That one second half of that game transformed 20 football fans into 20 basketball fans. And that's the impact of one regular season game when guys take the regular season seriously and Stephen Curry's greatness on full display. That one game added 20 new fans, and now it's been like 10 years, and these guys still love the NBA.
Okay.
That's
All
that's
right.
the impact of a
We
regular
love
season
it.
game
We
in February. There's something about February 27th that Stephen Curry just always has. Every year he has an electric performance on February 27th. It's insane. He had 50. LeBron at age 40 had 33, 17, and 6. And just the NBA is just great. I know like a lot of the discourse is negative. Zion had a triple double. Jokic had another triple double. The NBA is just, it can be really fun to watch sometimes. When guys have it going like that, it can be really fun. Did you share in that experience last night, BJ? How did you feel watching the games?
Yeah, it was terrific. I love it. I mean, there's a shooting display, you play in a game and you're able to get up what 18, 19, 23s in a game. I mean, that's an incredible thing, the way the game is played. Um, so I love it. I love watching the game. The Lakers seem to be finding their rhythm. You just mentioned, about Golden State. And, those are great. And you're going to have nights like that where you shoot the ball exceptionally well. And, last night we saw the Bucks beat Denver.
Hmm.
So, this is why you play. And I think, as you're watching the game, you get a chance from time to time to see exceptional shooting displays. And that's what you saw last night. And you can't have it that way all the time, but when you finally see it, it just reminds you of how good these guys really are. As far as some of the talents that they have, and certainly when you talk about shooting, you have to mention Steph Curry, regardless of any era. And it was great to see, and we'll continue to get to the playoffs, Mo, because right now it's about those playoff seedings. So
Absolutely is. Well, the Warriors, I just want to talk about them a little bit. We've talked a little bit about the impact Jimmy Butler's having on the team. Since he's come over, for the first 51 games, the Warriors were dead last in free throws made per game. They're now up to fourth in the NBA. And I think a lot of people at the start of the season were questioning Steph Curry. This is why I was so happy with his performance last night. A lot of people were saying, this Steph Curry thing's over, so on and so forth. All it took was them to get a second player who demands attention whilst on the court with Stephen Curry to open the game up a tiny bit more for him. And he can go back to being himself and doing what he's doing. I think he's averaging like 30 since Jimmy Butler got traded over there. And now the bench units aren't collapsing when Steph Curry goes to the bench either. So, that trade seems to have been working out very well. My question for you is, how far do you think this Warriors team can go? Is the way that they've been playing over the last 7 games sustainable for the rest of the season and the playoffs? Or where are you ranking them right now in the West?
when you take a sample size, right, a 6 or 7 game sample size, remember, Mo, they're going to be playing against the best teams in their conference, okay?
Mhm.
And if they are able to get into the playoffs, okay, currently right now,
Seventh
you
seed.
know, yeah, they'll get in the 7 seeds. I mean, they'll play, the
They'll be in
Memphis
the play-in.
Grizzlies. Yeah, they'll be in the play-in, and they'll play, if
If,
they're fortunate enough to advance, they'll play the Memphis Grizzlies or
See, I think the Warriors would beat the Grizzlies.
okay, that's fine. We can get to that. However, you know, when we start talking about a 7 game series, and when you start looking at the Warriors team, I think the Warriors are capable of winning, especially when you have a player like Stephen Curry, because he's capable of having a night like you saw last night. Okay. Jimmy Butler is capable of having a 30-point game. If Kaminga comes back, he's a capable 20-point scorer. Okay. 30-point scorer in the right game. However, now you're talking about winning 4 out of 7. You're talking about attacking the team in a way that you're going to exploit the other team's weakness. You're going to exploit your strengths. And remember, there's a reason that OKC, Memphis, Denver, the Houston Rockets were there. I don't know where they currently stand. So you're talking about playing against the best teams in the conference. Now that's a different story. I'm not sure how this is going to work. Mo, I'm not sure. I'm not sold. And I say I'm not sold because I haven't seen it yet. I
Mhm.
acknowledge Jimmy Butler. First step of the process, Mo, you've heard me say it now for years. Win the games you're supposed to win. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Now, are we truly expecting them to go in there and start beating OKC on the road like years past for the Golden State Warriors? The answer is no. Are you expecting them to be a team that's going to dominate versus, the Denver Nuggets? No, I'm not. I'm not right now, but I like where they're trending. I think Jimmy Butler has added a dimension to this team they haven't had. They play with a little bit more physicality. They've clearly committed now to Draymond Green being a 5 man. Okay. Jimmy Butler gives them 2 things. He gives them another added ball handler so that Steph Curry can be, I mean, let's call it what it is. He's a combo guard.
Yeah. And even like last night, Jimmy was 1 from 7
Okay.
from the field, but he still
So
commands the respect of the defense.
yeah, so what Jimmy Butler has done is added a ball handler so that Steph Curry can be this version of Steph Curry, which we all talk about, which is his ability to shoot the ball. When Steph Curry is forced to play the lead guard position, right? And you've heard me say this now for years, right? And then when it happens, everyone's like, oh, Steph Curry. No, Steph Curry is he's a combo guard of some sort. And when you put another ball handler like a Jimmy Butler, so what Jimmy Butler has really done is Draymond Green has been the primary ball handler for the Warriors for years. But then when you would add Andre Iguodala, you would add other ball handlers in there to help facilitate Steph Curry's ability to do what he does exceptionally well, which is shoot the basketball. And that's what Jimmy Butler has done. Okay, I don't even think Jimmy Butler scored double figures last night.
No,
Okay,
he had
I
five
don't know.
points.
Okay, so when you see this, we've seen this movie before. Jimmy Butler has added to that now. So now this is a sample size of what they could be. Now, the one thing we can't depend on is for Steph Curry to score 50 points every night. Okay, so let's not get too far ahead. Is he capable of a game or two in a series? Yes, we've seen him do this before. However, do I think this is an indicator of this team all of a sudden jumping into the elite category in the Western Conference? No, I don't think so. But let's see, because they certainly have, at a minimum, three very experienced players.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, this
And
5 game win streak, they beat the Rockets, they beat the Kings, they beat the Mavericks, they beat the Hornets, and then they beat the Magic. So the next real test for them is on Tuesday night against the Knicks, and then Saturday night against your Detroit Pistons. Not this Saturday, next Saturday.
yeah, well, like I said, I'm interested to see. I like the way they are trending. They have changed the course of their season. There's optimism now in the air. And suddenly now, what this trade has done has allowed their best player to be the best version of himself. Okay, check and check for that. Now, how
Hmm.
good can they go? Let's see, because we can only evaluate what they look like versus the better teams. And it's funny to hear you say, I'm waiting for the Detroit Piston game to
That's
find
insane.
out.
That's insane.
Okay,
That's insane.
that to me is an indicator of where this team is going to be. It's one of those indicators. I don't know about the Knicks situation because of the way the Knicks have been playing versus the top level teams in the league.
Mm.
But the Detroit Pistons will have my interest. And then I'll be able to say, oh, okay, this is what this team can do because, the Pistons are young, they're athletic, they're deep, and, they defend a little bit. So that will be a game that I'll be watching closely to see, how they respond. And then, we can give our observation of what happens during that game.